So, BlizzCon 2019 is currently underway. The opening ceremony, I believe, just concluded, and there were some massive announcements. A lot of this was already leaked previously. We knew that Activision Blizzard was going to come out with the big guns, and they did. Overwatch 2 was announced, Diablo 4, and of course the next World of Warcraft expansion, Shadowlands. So yes, a lot of big announcements this year. There weren't, as far as I understand, any Diablo Immortal announcements, which I guess Blizzard learned their lesson, but they haven't learned their lesson in other areas. We got another apology from J. Allen Brack in regards to the whole Hong Kong situation, and what I can say right now is it's pretty much more of the same, so yeah. But a lot to discuss. The protests are currently erupting, and I don't know if it's going to get very ugly, but a lot of people are showing their support for Hong Kong, and also showing their displeasure with Blizzard's horrible punishment of Blitzchung. So a lot to discuss, but if you do go on to enjoy this content and want to show your support for gaming news coverage like this, please consider hitting that like button, subscribing for more, and turning notifications on so you do not miss out on any new videos. So the thing is about BlizzCon 2019, this has been a topic of discussion for a long time. A lot of people didn't know how it was going to go. Originally, a lot of the discussion months ago was about the Diablo Immortal controversy that occurred. A lot of people were very unsure how Blizzard would come out and react to that, or if they were even going to, skip the Q&A sessions. It's still unclear how that's going to turn out, but thus far I haven't heard anything about any mobile games. Again, I said this in the opening part of this video. Maybe Blizzard learned their lesson on that, but in other areas or other aspects, obviously not. Now, one of the earlier concerns with Blizzard, which erupted around April and May, was over the decision by Blizzard to enforce a virtual ticket. So if you were attending BlizzCon, you needed to download a certain app, and you would need to present a virtual ticket. The problem is, this app has been described as spyware by many individuals. It is called the AXS Ticket app. And as reported by Ars Technica a few months ago, this app already had thousands of negative reviews. It had a 2.2 star rating on Google Play. And the biggest concern was security. The app, as of press time, can ask users to open the following permissions. It could read your context, it can approximate location, precise location, GPS and network based, it has full network access, and it prevents the device from going to sleep, and it pairs with Bluetooth devices. Security concerns were very real. That was one aspect that a lot of people were concerned about. But months later, it just seems like everybody has forgotten about that initial concern because things have just blown up in Blizzard's face. Like, one of the bigger stories that is now being discussed is an apparent scam. Like, this report coming from Spiel Times says that Blizzard withdraws over $500,000 from a World of Warcraft prize pool after crowdfunding hits the target. Now, there's still a lot of updates on that story, but it's just fascinating how everything is blowing up in Blizzard's face right now. Even beyond that, even Blizzard's employees are nervous about BlizzCon 2019. This is coming from the LA Times. After layoffs and a PR disaster, yes, remember earlier this year where 800 people were fired? Crazy how this year has flown by, but some Blizzard employees are dreading BlizzCon. And as they outline, employees said they have fielded venomous backlash on social media and in emails and have been confronted by passerbyers while wearing company apparel off Blizzard's campus. Now they are bracing for in-person protests as Blizzard ramps up security for BlizzCon, according to internal emails and accounts from 3 current employees and 2 former employees who declined to be named because they're scared of repercussions. The staffer who compared BlizzCon to Christmas said the prospect of protests has poisoned anticipation for this year's event. A lot of people that would have been happy and excited are now feeling dread that something's going to happen. You don't know if it's going to be people chanting outside, you don't know if it's going to be someone on stage, you don't know if it's going to be something dangerous that might actually hurt people, and honestly at this point we really don't know. What I mean by that is I don't know what this is going to end up looking like at the end. Like, thus far there are people outside of BlizzCon chanting and saying liberate Hong Kong, and they're making their support known for Hong Kong and also showing their displeasure for China. That's happening right now. Will somebody end up going on the BlizzCon stage and chanting liberate Hong Kong or doing something else to show their displeasure for Blizzard's response thus far? It's unclear, but it could get ugly, and there is actually some video I'm going to show later on of the protests that are actually happening outside of BlizzCon. But for right now, these are some of the pictures that originally popped up before BlizzCon even began. Like, there was a protest van which says May with Hong Kong, then you had people dressing up as Winnie the Pooh, and there's Hong Kong flags being flown around all over, and there are also people with posters. It's could get ugly, who knows, but there's actually there's some reporting coming from the Hollywood Reporter that I want to go over. Protesters are handing t-shirts on Friday featuring a character from Blizzard's Overwatch franchise, Mei, a Chinese climatologist in the game's official lore, who has become a symbol of the Hong Kong or Free Hong Kong movement. The shirts were emblazoned with a picture of Mei waving the flag of Hong Kong next to the words Mei with Hong Kong. 4,000 of the shirts were printed and handed out by an organization, Freedom Hong Kong, a group of 15 to 20 organizers sporting black t-shirts with Overwatch character Mei holding a Hong Kong flag emblazoned upon them greeted entrants outside of the event venue. Each passerby was urged to grab a free t-shirt to wear inside on the convention floor. We hope that the attendees will wear the shirts inside to raise awareness of what's happening in Hong Kong and Blizzard's decision to disqualify one of its contestants for his free speech. Charles Lam, a member of the pro-democracy group Hong Kong Forum, Los Angeles, told the Hollywood Reporter, "We want everyone to realize that even though freedom of speech is limited in China, it shouldn't happen in America," and I stand by that. I agree completely. Remember why this is happening. It's all because Blitzchung, a pro Hearthstone player, in a post-game interview with 2 other casters, said "liberate Hong Kong." That led to a horrendous punishment for all 3 of these individuals, which was later reduced, all in an effort to appease the Chinese government. Blizzard's president, J. Allen Brack, in his statement reducing the punishment, somehow claimed that the specific views expressed by Blitzchung were not a factor in the decision that they made. I want to be clear, our relationships in China had no influence on our decision. He would furthermore say if it was the opposite way and somebody was saying something in support of China, they would have had the same punishment. No one believes that at all, and no one should believe that blatant lie. But now I want to move on to J. Allen Brack's opening ceremony response, or his apology, that's what people are calling it in some headlines. I find that ridiculous, but here's what he said, and we're going to go over what he said afterwards.
Blizzard had the opportunity to bring the world together in a tough Hearthstone esports moment about a month ago, and we did not. We moved too quickly in our decision-making, and then, to make matters worse, we were too slow to talk with all of you. When I think about what I'm most unhappy about, there's really 2 things. The first one is we didn't live up to the high standards that we really set for ourselves. And the second is we failed in our purpose. And for that, I am sorry, and I accept accountability.
What's unfortunate about this newest apology, if you want to call it that, is that it's pretty much J. Allen Brack repeating what his statement last month said, which is absolutely nothing of value. He is once again being extremely careful and making sure to not say anything in support of the Hong Kong protesters or against the Chinese government because money. I understand that all these companies are in the business of making money, but most have values that they stand by, and what I can say is that J. Allen Brack is no Mike Morhaime. The issue was never with Blizzard's slow response. The issue was their ridiculous punishment, which should have never existed in the first place. That statement that was published on Chinese social media is the smoking gun, which shows exactly where Blizzard's priorities are these days. Anyway, let's keep going because there's a little bit more of J. Allen Brack's opening non-apology that I want to go over.
We will do better going forward. But our actions are going to matter more than any of these words. As you walk around this weekend, I hope it's clear how committed we are to everyone's right to express themselves in all kinds of ways, in all kinds of places. I've actually seen and heard many of you expressing yourself this morning.
Actions speak louder than words. You are right about that, Blizzard. I honestly thought some big decision was going to be announced by the Blizzard president after he said that, but nope. This is literally him repeating what they said a few weeks ago in their statement, which was posted right before the weekend and when, more importantly, the stock market was closed, so they didn't take any financial damage. This is all about the money, and being very careful to not upset anyone. And unfortunately, Blizzard, you put yourself in this position, and you don't get the luxury of just moving on. It really is striking. Not once was Blitzchung, Hong Kong, or China, those words, they were not mentioned in his remarks. Truly, I wonder how long the PR department worked on creating that weak response, which I mean, I suppose it was meant for them to finally move on from the incident, I guess, but that's not going to happen. I do have a sneaking suspicion that maybe J. Allen Brack just has zero control or say, and this is all the work of the greedy CEO of Activision Blizzard, Bobby Kotick, the clown that is at the top of the company, and he continues to hide from this disaster. He's been silent thus far, and I do find that very interesting. Like, I do genuinely think that Brack maybe wants to do the right thing, and maybe he actually really feels sorry for what's happened, but he just has zero say. That's just a theory, maybe I'm completely off, but the person I and all of you should be angry with first is Bobby Kotick, the greedy CEO that time and time again has proven through tons of anti-consumer decisions and lies that he just doesn't care about anything other than money. Now, following the opening ceremony and some of the big announcements, this is the scene outside of BlizzCon, and I don't know if you could say it's getting ugly, but a lot of people are starting to chant now and the protests are getting real. This is video coming from Patrick Shanley of The Hollywood Reporter.
Oppression is wrong. Free Hong Kong. Oppression is wrong. Free Hong Kong. Oppression is wrong.
Control us, you can't control us, you can't control us, you can't control us, Jordan! Control us, you can't control us, you can't control us.
And as Patrick notes, you have individuals chanting "Free Hong Kong, oppression is wrong." And then we also have another chant which says, "You cannot control us." And as I mentioned earlier in this video, you have people dressed up as Winnie the Pooh, you have all kinds of signs in support of Hong Kong, and also a lot of people again making their displeasure with Blizzard known. So will things get uglier? It's anyone's guess at this point. I mentioned earlier maybe somebody could storm the stage. That is a real possibility at this point. I think Blizzard has really underestimated the damage that this whole event or this debacle has inflicted upon their reputation and their image. No matter what they have decided to do has, I mean, it's proven to be divisive. They can say video games bring people together, but their decision to pretty much not say anything against the Chinese government, it's telling, it's striking, and it pretty much tells everyone what they need to know, that they do not stand for freedom of speech. They follow the money. That is the company's priorities these days, which I have to say it's a big difference compared to when Mike Morhaime was in charge, and he was very outspoken about Donald Trump, but I guess you don't get that same energy out of J. Allen Brack, who reports directly to Bobby Kotick, the CEO of Activision Blizzard. And I mean, Blizzard's not the only company that is embroiled in this debacle. Just a few weeks ago, the NBA was the topic of discussion. You had players like LeBron James, who's been outspoken about American politics, but when it comes to China, I guess we're all just gonna be quiet because we're not educated enough on that. It really is hilarious how all of these people just want to be silent on the atrocities that are happening in that country. And Blizzard's just trying to, I guess, use video games. Video games bring us together, but I guess we can't talk about what's happening in that country and what Blitzchung was actually standing for. I find that absolutely ridiculous. But hey, I mean, this is bringing a lot of people that you didn't expect to come together. I didn't get a chance to talk about this in video form, but you had the United States Senator from Florida, Marco Rubio, Republican, and AOC, Democrat Congresswoman in Brooklyn, New York, if I believe it correctly. They came together and they put a letter out pretty much slamming Bobby Kotick for their decision to punish Blitzchung. It really is, it's interesting what Blizzard has done. I mean, their debacle that they created has done some surprising things like that. But for right now, Blizzcon 2019 is underway, and the next day or two, it's going to be a lot of fun and very interesting what ends up happening. But the most striking comment that I've seen, a lot of this discussion is going on Twitter and other social medias, but one individual said Blizzard just apologized for not talking to fans about their decision to side with Chinese censorship more. Not for siding with censorship, they apologized for not talking about it. Just thought that should be made explicit here, and that's true. I mean, understand what J. Allen Brack is apologizing for. He's not apologizing apologizing for, siding with the Chinese government. He's apologizing for taking a little too long with giving their horrible response, which, it was pathetic to begin with. But that's where we are right now. I'll definitely be covering anything else that happens. But what do you guys make of the BlizzCon 2019 protests? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. But thank you for watching. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy this video or found any informative value. And make sure to follow my other social media accounts for updates on new videos. Links are always down in the description below. I'm most active on Twitter, giving opinions on news that I do not always get into video form. So do make sure to follow me over there. Also check out my Discord for all sorts of discussion on games, and again, thank you for joining, consider subscribing for more videos like this, and I'll see you later.